What if everything you thought was harmless, was slowly killing you? Carolyn Ray squinted at her phone screen as a familiar voice echoed through her tiny kitchen, tinny and clipped through the Bluetooth speaker she still hadn't figured out how to fix. Elon Musk's face filled the screen, his expression calm but his tone urgent, like he was holding back something enormous. There's a habit millions of Americans, especially seniors, do every day without thinking, he said. And new data shows it might be contributing to enlarged prostates, hormone imbalances, even early death. Carolyn froze, halfway through her morning routine, a smear of peanut butter still on the butter knife in her hand. Her coffee went cold as she leaned in. The video continued, a mix of charts, studies, and images of men in hospital gowns, looking hollowed out and tired. Elon gestured to a heat map of data points. Processed caffeine, inactivity, and artificial additives have a compounding effect on aging male bodies, he said. It's not just about the prostate. It's about longevity. About quality of life. And the solutions are not pharmaceutical. They're behavioral. Carolyn's fingers tapped nervously against the edge of the table. She knew Jack wouldn't believe a word of it. And sure enough, behind her, the back door creaked open, and Jack Ray's gruff voice rang out. "You watching another one of those fear-mongering videos again?" he asked, setting down his keys with a clang. His gray beard bristled as he leaned in to see the screen. "Musk says the moon landing was fake next." Carolyn sighed and muted the clip. "Just, watch it. Please. It's not politics or clickbait. It's about, enlarged prostates." Yeah, he cut her off, chuckling as he opened the fridge. "You know what enlarges prostates? Getting old. You know what cures it? Dying." "Jack," she said, but he'd already cracked open a soda and flopped onto the recliner in the living room. The news played in the background, stocks down, another heatwave alert, more unrest in the city. She turned back to the screen. Elon's words echoed in her mind. "Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough?" Her eyes lingered on that question. For her, it was her son's. Always had been. Even when Jack left. Even when the house got too quiet. Even when the nurse's uniform stopped fitting and the mirror started showing someone she didn't recognize. Jack coughed from the living room, a deep, rattling sound. She winced. That cough had gotten worse. He wouldn't see a doctor. Said he felt fine. She'd heard that lie too many times. Her phone buzzed. A text from Matt, their younger son. "Mom, check this out." That Musk clip went viral. Trending on Reddit and Twitter. "We're getting inquiries from some VC folks." Carolyn blinked. Matt's startup focused on health data, wearables that tracked inflammatory markers and hormone fluctuations. She felt a chill. Maybe this wasn't just internet noise. She tapped the message, then switched to her email. Her inbox was full of newsletters, medical journals, health alerts, even some spam about turmeric gummies. One headline caught her eye: "New studies link caffeine, sitting, and ultra-processed foods to male hormone disruption." She clicked. The article cited Harvard and Mayo Clinic researchers. Elevated PSA levels. Inflammation. Poor circulation. Links to insomnia, depression, even increased cancer risks. She looked at Jack, his third soda of the morning already halfway gone. Still in his robe. Watching cable news and doing nothing. Exactly what the article described. He caught her staring. "What?" he barked. "Just thinking," she replied. "About how you used to jog. Or chop wood. You used to move." "I'm retired," he grumbled. "I earned the right to do nothing." "Doing nothing's what's killing people," she muttered. "What was that?" "Nothing," she said, and turned back to the screen. The comment section under the video was blowing up. Men sharing stories, swollen prostates, night sweats, doctors prescribing invasive procedures. Others mocking them. Others scared. Carolyn typed, "My ex-husband shows every sign. Refuses to change. We have 2 sons. I don't want them to go through what I did when my dad got sick." She hesitated, then posted it. Maybe someone would reply. Maybe someone would understand. That afternoon, the phone rang. Jack answered it, then held it out. "It's for me," he said, confused. "Dr. Lerner. Didn't even know I had an appointment." Carolyn raised her eyebrows. "You don't?" Jack listened, face tightening. "Okay," he said, voice lower now. "Yeah, I'll come in Monday. Thanks." He hung up, his hand trembling slightly. "My blood work from last year," he said. "They ran some new tests. Elevated something. Wants a follow-up." He didn't meet her eyes. She didn't push. Just nodded. Monday came fast. Carolyn offered to drive, but Jack insisted on taking his truck. She followed behind anyway. At the clinic, she sat in the waiting room, pretending to read while glancing at the digital screen scrolling patient education content. Enlarged prostate. PSA. BPH. Invasive surgery. Side effects. Lifestyle changes. Plant-based diet. Movement. Meditation. She watched Jack walk out of the office, stiff and unsmiling. "He wants more tests," he muttered. "Says I've probably had this for years. Are you going to do them?" "Do I have a choice?" he snapped, then sighed. "I'm sorry. I didn't think this stuff was real. Thought it was all old man crap." Carolyn put a hand on his arm. "It is. And you're an old man now." He laughed, bitterly. "Guess I am." That night, he didn't finish his soda. She caught him Googling, PSA levels normal range. In bed, she watched the ceiling fan spin and felt something shifting. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But something. A small crack in his armor. The next morning, Matt called. "Mom, you know that tracker we've been working on? We need test subjects. Real data. You think Dad would wear one?" She glanced at Jack, who was rinsing blueberries at the sink like a man who'd suddenly remembered fruit existed. "I'll ask," she said. "But I won't give him a choice." "That's the spirit," Matt laughed. "Elon might be crazy, but he's not wrong. This stuff matters." "Tell me something," Carolyn said softly. "What keeps you going, Matt? When stuff gets tough?" He paused. "You," he said. "Always you." She smiled. Outside, the sky was turning from gray to blue. A new day. A new beginning. Maybe. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? Carolyn Ray used to believe her life would be extraordinary. As a teenager, she stayed up late in her bedroom in Dayton, Ohio, reading medical textbooks borrowed from the public library, highlighting pages with a neon marker, determined to become the first woman in her family to wear a white coat. Her mother, Virginia, called her Doc Ray with a chuckle and a kiss on the forehead, proud but always worried. Her father, a truck driver, didn't say much, but when he handed Carolyn her first stethoscope for Christmas at age 16, she cried in his arms. That was before everything changed. Before Virginia's cancer diagnosis. Before 3 surgeries and an avalanche of medical debt. Before her dad took a second job and Carolyn quit school for a while to care for her mother. The hospital had buzzed with life, with hope, with the smell of antiseptic and coffee. But in the private rooms, in the shadow of machines and soft beeps, there was a different kind of energy, quiet, fragile, full of endings. Carolyn sat by her mother's bedside every night, notebook open, watching every nurse. It was then that she understood, she wouldn't become a doctor. She would become a nurse. The kind who sat. Who stayed. Who didn't look away. After her mother passed, Carolyn enrolled in the nearest nursing program, accelerated, and graduated top of her class. She met Jack Ray at a community center CPR class, of all places. He was 24, fresh out of the fire academy, broad-shouldered and cocky, cracking jokes that made her roll her eyes and blush all at once. They married in under a year. Everyone said it was too fast. But at that time, they made sense. She was compassionate, he was fearless. She was methodical, he was all heart. When Matt was born, Carolyn felt joy unlike anything she had known. But she also felt the cracks start to form. Jack wasn't always around. Long shifts, overnights, volunteering for extra hours. At first, she thought it was just dedication. But then she began to notice how he used the job to escape. When Brian came 3 years later, Jack was even more distant. Brian was sensitive, quiet, with a heart like hers. Carolyn doted on him, and Jack didn't know what to do with that kind of softness. He pushed the boy into sports, into being tough, into hiding tears. Carolyn and Jack began to argue, at first behind closed doors, then not caring if the boys overheard. Their home, once warm, became a place of tension. Jack would come home, slam the door, crack open a beer, and park himself in front of the TV. She'd take the boys to the park just to give them air, give them space from his silence. Still, Carolyn stayed. Because when Jack was good, he was golden. When a neighbor's house caught fire, Jack rushed in and saved their elderly dog. When Matt broke his arm, Jack didn't panic, he calmly splinted it and joked the whole way to the ER. And when Brian had his first panic attack at 12, Jack sat with him through the night, whispering stories from his firehouse days, promising him that being scared didn't make him weak. But those moments were too rare, and the bitterness between Carolyn and Jack deepened with time. The final straw came when Jack missed Brian's high school graduation. He said he had to work. She later found out he was at a bar with friends. Carolyn filed for divorce 6 months later. No yelling. No big drama. Just a silent acknowledgement in the kitchen, over black coffee. We gave it a shot, she said. Jack nodded. Guess we did. The boys were grown by then. Matt was in college for engineering, already interning with a medical startup, and Brian had moved to California, chasing a career in financial analysis and a life far away from Ohio. Carolyn stayed in the same house. Retired early after 2 herniated discs and lingering burnout. Her days grew slow. She volunteered occasionally at the local clinic, walked her rescue dog, Maisie, and made herself small so the silence didn't swallow her whole. But even with all the resentment, all the years lost to cold dinners and colder arguments, Jack never really left her thoughts. He'd show up with groceries once in a while. Fix the porch light. Bring her hot soup when she had the flu. He never stayed long. And she never asked him to. Then came that video. That bizarre, world-stopping video from Elon Musk. And suddenly, all her old nursing instincts lit up like an emergency alarm. Something in Jack was shifting. Slower movements. Occasional groans when he got up from the couch. Frequent bathroom breaks. The stubborn refusal to go to the doctor. The same kind of signs her father had before his prostate surgery, the surgery that led to complications and eventually took his life. She had seen this pattern before. And now, it was happening to the father of her sons. She couldn't turn away. Not completely. The phone buzzed. Brian's name lit up the screen. She hesitated before answering. Hey, Ma, he said. Saw the clip you sent. That Musk thing. Crazy, right? Not that crazy, she said. It's getting real. How's Dad? He asked, his voice unsure. He never called Jack Dad with ease anymore. Stubborn as ever, she said, smiling sadly. But he's listening. A little. Think he'd talk to me? He'd listen if you did. Might even like it. There was a long pause. I'll think about it. That's all I ask. After they hung up, she sat in the kitchen, turning her old wedding band in her fingers, a nervous habit she hadn't dropped even after taking it off years ago. She remembered the way Jack used to dance with her in the kitchen, barefoot, to some Springsteen song on the radio. She remembered how he used to call her Red, even after her hair faded to gray. The man she loved was still in there somewhere, buried under layers of pain, pride, and soda cans. She wasn't looking to fix him. But maybe, just maybe, she could remind him that he mattered. Not just as an ex-husband or a father or a name on a chart. But as Jack. As the man she once believed in. She opened the Musk video again. This time, she watched it all the way through. Not for Jack. For herself. For the nurse who used to believe that knowledge could save lives. That even in the face of age, and resentment, and decades of silence, change was still possible. That healing was still within reach. Even now. The days after Jack's clinic visit were a storm of small, relentless tensions that Carolyn hadn't expected to feel again after all those years of quiet separation. Jack was quieter now, more withdrawn, and Carolyn sensed the invisible walls between them growing thicker, even as she tried to break through. It started with the tracker device Matt had sent, a sleek black band that Carolyn forced Jack to wear around his wrist. It's not some Fitbit, she assured him. It monitors your inflammation markers, your heart rate variability, sleep patterns. We need data. Jack eyed the device like it was a prison shackle. You tracking me? He grumbled one evening as he slumped into his chair, refusing to take it off. Carolyn forced a smile. Just for the study. For science. But every beep and buzz from the device was a reminder to Jack that his body was betraying him. His pride bruised, he became more defensive. The first real argument came when Carolyn suggested cutting down on Jack's daily soda habit. One less soda won't kill me, Jack snapped, voice rising. You think you're my mother now? Carolyn's eyes flashed. I'm trying to save you. Jack slammed his hand on the table. You can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved. Silence followed, thick and heavy. Neither knew how to bridge the gap that the years of separation had carved. Carolyn was torn between frustration and sympathy. She knew Jack's stubbornness came from a place of fear of losing control, of admitting weakness. And yet, that same stubbornness was dragging him closer to a dangerous cliff. Meanwhile, Carolyn's sons were feeling the tension too. Matt called more often now, peppering her with questions about Jack's mood and health. Is he eating right? Moving? Sleeping enough? I don't know, Matt, Carolyn admitted one night. He's resistant. And he won't talk about how he feels. Sounds like Dad's scared, Matt said. Maybe scared enough to push everyone away. Brian was quieter on the phone but dropped hints that Jack had refused his offer to meet up. Dad says he doesn't want to be a burden, Brian said once. Carolyn felt a pang. The man she had fought so hard to forget was still fighting his own battles alone. Then came the night Jack didn't come home. Carolyn waited by the window, watching the streetlights flicker as the hours crawled past midnight. The phone rang at 3 a.m. It was Jack's friend from the fire department. He's in the ER, the voice said. Had some kind of episode. Thought you should know. Carolyn's heart pounded as she rushed to the hospital. When she arrived, the ER nurse briefed her. Jack had experienced acute urinary retention, his prostate swelling so large it blocked his bladder. The pain was intense, the situation urgent. If this had gone untreated longer, it could have caused kidney damage, the nurse said. Carolyn sat by Jack's bedside, holding his hand, the beeping machines around them a harsh symphony of crisis. Jack's usual bravado was gone. Maybe Elon was right, he muttered, weak but honest. Maybe I should have listened. Carolyn squeezed his hand. It's not too late. The doctors recommended surgery to relieve the blockage, but Jack was hesitant. I'm too old for that, he said. I don't want to end up worse. Carolyn tried to explain the risks of delaying treatment, but Jack shut down, retreating into silence. Back home, Carolyn felt the weight of helplessness pressed down on her. She wrestled with anger and guilt. How could she have let this happen? How could she reach a man who refused to face the truth? She called Matt and Brian. You need to come, she said. This isn't just about Dad anymore. When they arrived, the family reunited under tense circumstances. Old wounds reopened as they clashed over Jack's care. Matt pushed for surgery, Brian suggested alternative treatments. Jack himself grew more withdrawn, caught between pride and fear. One evening, the confrontation boiled over. You don't understand what I'm going through. Jack shouted. I'm not a patient. I'm your father. And that means we care. Carolyn shot back. We want you to live. To be here for us. Tears rolled down Jack's cheeks, a rare moment of vulnerability. I don't want to be a burden. Carolyn stepped closer, her voice softening. You're not a burden. You're family. Over the following weeks, Jack reluctantly agreed to a minimally invasive procedure. The recovery was slow, and the emotional scars lingered longer than the physical ones. Carolyn and Jack found themselves talking again, first about his health, then about memories long buried. They shared stories about Matt and Brian, about Virginia, about the dreams they once held. The healing wasn't easy or linear. Setbacks came with harsh reminders, sleepless nights, flare-ups of pain, moments of doubt. Yet, amid the struggle, there was hope. Carolyn saw glimmers of the man who had once danced barefoot in the kitchen. The man who had saved neighbors and loved his family fiercely. Slowly, Jack began to embrace healthier habits, cutting back on soda, walking with Carolyn and Maisie, even joining Matt in the data tracking. He still grumbled, but the device beeped less with alarming warnings. Matt's startup took notice. The real-world data collected from Jack helped refine their algorithms, making the health tracker more accurate for seniors. Elon Musk's viral video became a catalyst not only for Jack's transformation but for a larger movement among the aging population. Carolyn found herself speaking at community centers, sharing her story and urging seniors to change harmful habits before it was too late. It's never too late, she told audiences. But it's better not to wait. Jack surprised her one afternoon by calling a family dinner, a rare gathering with Matt, Brian, and her. They sat around the table, laughter tentative but genuine. I'm sorry, Jack said quietly. For being stubborn. For pushing you all away. Carolyn reached across the table, taking his hand. We're just glad you're here. The path ahead was uncertain, but the family was ready to face it together. Carolyn realized that while Elon's warning had sparked the journey, it was love and persistence that would carry them through. The habit that had threatened Jack's life was more than just soda or sitting too long. It was pride, silence, and fear. But with every step forward, every honest conversation, those habits began to change. And in that change, they found hope. Jack Ray's world shifted in ways he hadn't anticipated. After the surgery, the quiet months that followed were filled with uncertainty but also a strange sense of purpose. Carolyn insisted he join her on morning walks with Maisie, and though reluctant at first, he found himself looking forward to the rhythm of the steps, the fresh air cutting through the stale fog of worry and regret. One morning, as the sun rose over their quiet Ohio neighborhood, Carolyn noticed Jack pause by the old oak tree in their yard, staring at its gnarled branches twisting toward the sky. "Remember when we planted that?" she asked softly. Jack nodded, his voice rough but sincere. "You said it'd outlive us both." The image of the tree became a symbol for Jack, a reminder that life could grow strong even in hard soil. But beyond their small world, bigger challenges loomed. Matt's health tracking startup was gathering momentum, but investors demanded proof the technology could truly help seniors avoid complications like Jack's. Carolyn volunteered Jack as the first participant in an expanded clinical trial that would take them beyond the familiar halls of their town. Soon, Jack found himself in a bustling research hospital in Boston, surrounded by strangers in crisp white coats and blinking monitors. The sterile smells, the fluorescent lights, everything reminded him of a life he'd long avoided. But Carolyn was there, steady and unwavering, a tether to the world he'd known. The trial involved new lifestyle interventions tailored by the data from Jack's wearable device, customized diet plans, guided physical therapy, even meditation sessions designed to lower inflammation. At first, Jack resisted. The diet felt foreign. The exercises tiring. The mental focus elusive. But as weeks passed, he started noticing subtle changes. The nagging pain in his lower back lessened. His sleep deepened. The restless nights became fewer. The hospital corridors transformed from intimidating mazes into paths toward a second chance. Carolyn watched with a mixture of pride and concern. She knew Jack's journey wasn't just physical, it was emotional and mental. He wrestled with the shame of needing help, the fear of being forgotten, the anger at himself for the years lost. One evening, after a particularly grueling session, Jack sat on the hospital bench, his head in his hands. Carolyn sat beside him, offering quiet companionship. "I'm tired," he admitted. "Tired of fighting. Tired of being this shell." She took his hand. "You're more than a shell. You're still here. Still fighting." The next day, the doctors shared encouraging news. Jack's prostate inflammation markers had dropped significantly. His cardiovascular health showed improvement. The data painted a picture of a man slowly reclaiming his body. But just as hope blossomed, an unexpected setback struck. During a routine scan, the doctors found a small suspicious lesion on Jack's kidney. It was early stage, but it meant surgery, another battle, another round of uncertainty. Carolyn felt the familiar knot of fear tighten in her stomach. She looked at Jack, searching for the same stubborn fire that had refused to die in the face of his prostate struggles. "We'll get through this," she said, her voice steady but trembling inside. Jack nodded, swallowing hard. The kidney surgery was scheduled for 2 weeks later. The hospital room where Jack recovered felt colder this time. The pain was sharper. The risks higher. Carolyn stayed by his side, holding his hand through the nights when he drifted between sleep and fevered dreams. The family rallied too, Matt flying in from California, Brian booking last-minute flights, old resentment set aside for the sake of the moment. They shared stories, laughter, and tears, knitting the frayed threads of their family back together. One night, as the hospital lights dimmed, Jack whispered to Carolyn, "I'm scared." She squeezed his hand, tears brimming. "Me too. But you're not alone." When the doctors finally gave the green light to go home, it felt like a rebirth. Jack stepped outside into the crisp spring air, the sun warm on his face. The world looked different, brighter, filled with possibility. Back in Ohio, the rhythms of daily life resumed, but Jack's perspective had changed. He embraced the habits Carolyn and Matt championed: balanced meals, regular walks, mindfulness exercises. He even began attending a local support group for men facing prostate and kidney issues, breaking the silence that had shrouded his pain for so long. At one meeting, Jack met George, a retired teacher whose own journey had been marked by denial and stubbornness. Their friendship blossomed quickly, a bond forged through shared struggles and mutual encouragement. George joked that Elon Musk's video was the best wake-up call he'd ever had. Jack laughed, admitting he'd thought the same. Carolyn watched all of this with quiet satisfaction, but she also noticed Jack wrestling with deeper questions, about legacy, forgiveness, and purpose. One afternoon, as they sat on their porch watching Maisie chase squirrels, Jack turned to Carolyn. "What if all this isn't just about me? What if my story could help others?" Carolyn smiled, recognizing the spark that had drawn her to him years ago, the desire to make a difference. Together, they began planning community outreach events, speaking at senior centers, and advocating for lifestyle changes to combat prostate health issues. Matt's startup partnered with local health organizations to distribute the wearable devices, turning Jack's personal journey into a public mission. But the road wasn't without bumps. Jack's health fluctuated. Some days were harder than others. Old habits sometimes crept back in, and the weight of his fears occasionally overwhelmed him. Carolyn stood by him, steady as ever, reminding him that progress wasn't linear. "Every step forward counts," she'd say. "Even the small ones." The family grew closer through the shared purpose. Brian, inspired by Jack's courage, began writing a blog about men's health and family dynamics. Matt developed new features for the tracker, incorporating stress management tools and nutritional guidance. Carolyn found herself rediscovering joy in her caregiving role, no longer as a nurse in a hospital but as a partner and advocate for her family and community. One chilly autumn evening, the Rays hosted a fundraiser at the local library. The room buzzed with energy as seniors, doctors, and tech enthusiasts gathered to hear Jack's story. Elon Musk's video was referenced, but it was Jack's honest, raw account of struggle and transformation that moved the crowd. Carolyn watched as Jack spoke, his voice steady, eyes shining with renewed purpose. When he finished, the applause was thunderous. Later, Carolyn took Jack's hand and whispered, "Look at what you've become." He smiled, the lines of age softened by gratitude. "I'm not who I was. But maybe that's the best thing." The journey had been long, painful, and uncertain. But in the face of fear and decline, Jack had found resilience. The habits that once threatened to destroy him became the pillars that supported his new life. And Carolyn, ever the nurse, ever the heart of the family, stood beside him, not to fix, but to walk the path together. As the night wound down and the guests filtered out, Carolyn thought about the question Elon Musk had posed in that first viral video: what's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? For her, it was family. For Jack, it was the chance to be more than his illness. For their sons, it was hope sparked by honesty and love. The Rays had faced the shadow of enlarged prostate disease and so much more. They had stumbled, fought, healed, and grown. Their story was far from over. But in the darkest moments, they had found light. And that light was enough to lead the way. The news hit the Ray family like a thunderclap. Jack's kidney lesion, which had seemed manageable, was now diagnosed as early-stage cancer. The doctors were cautiously optimistic, but the word cancer echoed relentlessly in Carolyn's mind, shattering the fragile peace they'd built. Jack sat quietly in the consultation room, his face pale and tight, the weight of the diagnosis pressing down like an invisible fist. "We need to act quickly," the oncologist said gently. "Surgery followed by monitoring. With early detection, the prognosis is good." Carolyn reached out, her hand finding Jack's trembling fingers. He looked at her, eyes glistening with fear and something else, defiance. "I've faced worse," he whispered. "I'll get through this." But as the days passed, the cracks began to show. The surgery was scheduled within the week, and the family gathered to prepare emotionally and practically. Matt flew back from California, Brian rearranged his work commitments, and Carolyn coordinated the care. Yet beneath the surface, tension simmered. Jack's pride wrestled with vulnerability. He refused to let anyone see how much the news shook him. "I'm fine," he insisted, even as he skipped meals and avoided conversations about the future. Carolyn sensed the storm inside him, a silent battle he fought alone. The night before surgery, Carolyn found Jack sitting on the porch swing, staring into the dark. "You okay?" she asked softly. He didn't answer at first, then exhaled slowly. "I'm scared," he admitted, voice raw. "Not just about the surgery, about what comes after. About losing control." Carolyn sat beside him, wrapping an arm around his shoulders. "You're not alone, Jack. We'll face it all together." The surgery itself was grueling but successful. Jack spent days in recovery, battling pain and the fog of anesthesia. Carolyn never left his side, reading to him, holding his hand through the restless nights. The family kept a vigil of hope and worry, praying for good news. When the pathology report came back, it confirmed that the cancer had been caught early, with clear margins. Relief washed over them, but Carolyn knew the journey was far from over. The emotional toll lingered. Jack's fears morphed into frustration and isolation. He struggled to accept help, pushing away even those who loved him most. One afternoon, after a particularly painful flare-up, Jack lashed out at Carolyn. "I don't want pity," he snapped. "I'm not some project to fix." Carolyn's heart broke, but she held her ground. "I'm not here to pity you. I'm here because I love you." Slowly, the family found ways to break through Jack's walls. Matt introduced mindfulness apps linked to the tracker, helping Jack manage pain and anxiety. Brian shared stories of other men who had faced similar battles, showing Jack he wasn't alone. Carolyn organized support sessions, connecting Jack with men who understood the complex emotions tied to prostate and kidney health. Through these connections, Jack began to open up. He spoke about regrets, lost time with family, moments missed. He confessed fears, of dying alone, of becoming a burden. Carolyn listened without judgment, offering steady support. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Jack surprised Carolyn with a confession. "I'm scared of what comes next," he said. "But I want to fight. Not just for me, but for all of us." That night marked a turning point. The family's bond deepened, their collective hope stronger than ever. They embraced the uncertainty together, choosing love over fear. The months that followed were a whirlwind of follow-ups, treatments, and lifestyle changes. Jack adhered strictly to his new regimen: balanced diet, daily walks, meditation, and the health tracker that beeped less and less with warnings. His health improved steadily, but the emotional journey was more complex. There were days of frustration, moments of despair, but also glimmers of joy and connection. Carolyn found herself reflecting on their path, the twists, the setbacks, the moments of grace. She understood now that healing wasn't just physical. It was a transformation of the heart and mind. Jack's stubbornness had been both a barrier and a source of strength. It fueled his fight but also isolated him. The challenge was finding balance. One afternoon, while reviewing Matt's latest data analysis, Carolyn noticed something remarkable. Jack's inflammation markers had dropped to levels unseen since before his diagnosis. The health tracker data showed improved sleep quality, lower resting heart rate, and increased physical activity. "This is it," Carolyn told Jack. "You're turning the tide." Jack smiled, tired but genuine. "I'm ready for whatever comes." The family celebrated quietly, knowing the journey was ongoing but hopeful. Elon Musk's warning about seniors' habits had sparked a fire within them, igniting change that rippled beyond their home. Carolyn and Jack became advocates, sharing their story at health fairs, senior centers, and online forums. Their message was clear: early detection, lifestyle changes, and emotional support could transform lives. At one event, Jack spoke candidly. "I was stubborn. I ignored the signs. But now I know that asking for help is strength, not weakness." Carolyn watched the audience, many nodding in agreement, some wiping tears. She realized their story had become more than a personal journey, it was a beacon for others facing similar battles. Yet, the emotional climax of their story came unexpectedly during a family dinner. As they gathered around the table, laughter filling the room, Jack suddenly grew serious. "I want to make things right," he said, looking at Carolyn and their sons. "For the years I wasn't there, for the walls I built. I want us to be a family, whole and strong." Carolyn's eyes welled with tears. Matt and Brian exchanged glances, their own hearts moved. "We want that too, Dad," Matt said. Brian nodded. "We've all grown. Let's move forward together." In that moment, the past pain softened, replaced by a fragile but powerful hope. The emotional climax was not just Jack's health triumph, but the healing of fractured relationships. The family embraced, a silent vow to face life's uncertainties side by side. As the night settled, Carolyn thought about the life lessons carved by their journey. She knew that health was more than the absence of disease, it was connection, courage, and acceptance. Life's surprises were inevitable, but love could guide them through. And so, with hearts open and spirits renewed, the Rays stepped into the future, not defined by illness but by resilience and hope. Jack Ray sat quietly on the porch swing, the evening breeze brushing against his face as he looked out over the fading colors of the Ohio sunset. The journey he and his family had traveled was long and winding, marked by pain, fear, and unexpected revelations. Yet, as he breathed in the cool air, there was a calmness he hadn't felt in years. Carolyn joined him, slipping her hand into his, her presence a steady anchor through every storm. "We made it," she whispered, her voice soft but filled with meaning. Jack nodded, feeling the weight of those words. They weren't just about surviving illness, they were about healing wounds, rebuilding connections, and rediscovering purpose. The habits that once threatened to consume him had become the pillars of his new life. The relentless pursuit of control, once his greatest enemy, had transformed into acceptance and growth. Their sons, Matt and Brian, had found ways to mend old rifts, creating a stronger family fabric stitched with empathy and understanding. Carolyn had stepped fully into her role as caregiver and advocate, drawing strength from the love that bound them all. Jack's health had improved steadily, but more important was the change within him. He no longer defined himself by the diagnosis or the physical challenges. Instead, he saw himself as a man shaped by resilience, learning each day what it meant to live fully in the present. Looking back, Jack realized the moment Elon Musk's warning about seniors' habits had gone viral was a turning point, not just for him, but for countless others who saw their own struggles reflected in his story. The awareness it brought sparked conversations in communities, inspired innovations in healthcare technology, and reminded families to pay attention before it was too late. Jack and Carolyn dedicated themselves to that mission, speaking at events, sharing their story in articles and videos, and working with Matt's startup to improve the wearable technology that had played such a crucial role in monitoring Jack's health. Their advocacy was more than a campaign, it was a calling rooted in gratitude and hope. One afternoon, as Jack prepared to speak at a senior center, he reflected on how far he had come. The man who once ignored symptoms, who resisted help, was now standing before an audience eager to learn from his experience. He opened with the same question Elon Musk had posed: what if you suddenly lost everything and had no one by your side? The room fell silent, the question stirring a deep empathy in those listening. Jack spoke candidly about his fears, mistakes, and the lessons learned. He shared the importance of breaking habits that harm the body, the power of family support, and the courage it takes to ask for help. Carolyn watched from the front row, proud and humbled. She saw in Jack not just the survivor but the man who had grown wiser, kinder, and more open to love. The story ended, as it had begun, with a call to action. Jack urged everyone to look inward, to listen to their bodies, and to embrace change before crises strike. Life is full of surprises, he said, but love will always lead the way. Later, as the audience dispersed, several attendees approached Jack and Carolyn with tears in their eyes, thanking them for the courage to share such a personal journey. One woman said, "You've given me hope. I'll finally get the tests I've been putting off." Another man confessed, "I see now that my stubbornness is hurting me. It's time to change." Jack felt a profound sense of fulfillment. Their story was no longer just their own, it was part of a larger movement toward health, awareness, and connection. At home, the Rays settled into a new rhythm. Maisie bounded through the yard, chasing falling leaves as Carolyn and Jack planned their next community event. Matt continued developing the health tracker, incorporating feedback from users inspired by Jack's story. Brian's blog had gained a loyal following, sharing insights on men's health and family healing. In quiet moments, Jack reflected on the meaning of sacrifice, the nights Carolyn stayed awake with him, the difficult conversations they'd had, the willingness to face pain head-on. He understood that love was not always easy, but it was the force that sustained them through the darkest times. One evening, as they sat together watching the stars emerge, Jack turned to Carolyn. "Thank you, for never giving up on me." She smiled, her eyes shining. "We're in this together, always." The future remained uncertain, as life often is. But the Rays faced it with open hearts and the wisdom gained from their journey. Jack knew that while habits could threaten health, habits could also save it. The key was recognizing which to nurture and which to let go. In that realization lay hope, not just for him, but for every senior who watched Elon Musk's warning and wondered if it was too late. It was never too late. And with love, support, and the courage to change, life could bloom again. The story of Jack Ray, once marked by silence and denial, had become a beacon of resilience and redemption. A reminder that no matter how deep the struggle, the human spirit could rise, stronger and more compassionate than before. And that was the greatest lesson of all. What if you suddenly lost everything and had no one by your side? That question haunted Linda Harper as she stared at the empty chair where her husband, Tom, used to sit every morning during breakfast. Just weeks ago, Tom had been vibrant, full of life, but now he was a shell of himself, his enlarged prostate causing relentless pain and robbing him of dignity. Linda never imagined their golden years would unravel like this. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? Linda's story began in a quiet suburb of Indianapolis, where she and Tom raised 2 kids and dreamed of retirement filled with travel and laughter. But as Tom's health declined, their plans crumbled. The visits to doctors became routine, the medications stacked on the counter like silent reminders of a battle no one wanted to fight. Linda felt helpless watching the man she loved struggle with symptoms no one talked about openly, difficulty urinating, constant discomfort, and the fear of losing control over his own body. The turning point came when Tom collapsed at home, an emergency that led to hospitalization and a grim prognosis. Doctors warned that without drastic lifestyle changes, his condition could worsen, leading to surgery and complications. That's when Linda stumbled upon a viral video from Elon Musk, a surprising source that delivered a clear, urgent message to seniors: stop this habit now or risk an enlarged prostate. It wasn't a medical lecture, but a wake-up call wrapped in straightforward advice about diet, hydration, and physical activity. Skeptical but desperate, Linda shared the video with Tom. At first, he scoffed, dismissing it as another gimmick. But as his condition worsened, desperation gave way to hope. Together, they embarked on a journey of change, overhauling their diet, increasing activity, and monitoring symptoms with a wearable device recommended by Matt, a health tech entrepreneur who was revolutionizing how seniors managed chronic conditions. The story that follows is one of struggle, resilience, and unexpected triumph. Linda's unwavering commitment, Tom's gradual acceptance, and the family's rallying strength paint a vivid picture of what it takes to face health challenges head-on. Along the way, they discover that breaking old habits isn't just about physical health, it's about reclaiming identity, rebuilding trust, and embracing the unknown with courage. As you read, consider your own habits. What small change could make a big difference? What support might you find in unexpected places? Linda's story is a reminder that even when life feels like it's falling apart, hope can be found, and sometimes, it starts with a simple choice. So, where are you watching from? What keeps you moving forward when the road gets tough? This is not just Tom and Linda's journey, it's a call for all of us to pay attention, to act, and to love fiercely. Stay tuned as their story unfolds. Linda Harper grew up in a small town in Ohio, the youngest of 3 siblings. Her childhood was filled with the warmth of a tight-knit family, Sunday dinners, and the comforting predictability of routine. Her father was a factory worker, her mother a schoolteacher, and both instilled in Linda a strong work ethic and the importance of community. From a young age, Linda was the caretaker in her family, always looking out for her younger brother who struggled with asthma and her aging grandmother who lived nearby. When she met Tom Harper in college, it was a whirlwind of shared dreams and quiet promises. Tom, tall and easygoing, had ambitions to become an engineer and build a life full of stability and adventure. They married shortly after graduation and moved to Indianapolis for Tom's job at a tech firm. Their early years were marked by joy and challenges, the birth of 2 sons, Matt and Brian, juggling careers, and the ebb and flow of life's demands. Linda balanced her job as a nurse with her role as a mother, often putting others' needs ahead of her own. Her nurturing nature became the backbone of their family. Yet beneath the surface, Linda carried a quiet strength forged from past hardships. She remembered her mother's battle with breast cancer and the fear that had gripped their family during those dark months. That experience taught Linda resilience and the importance of facing illness with honesty and courage. Tom's family history was different. Raised in a more reserved household, Tom rarely spoke about his emotions or health concerns. He was the kind of man who believed in toughing it out, often brushing aside symptoms and avoiding doctors. This stubbornness would later become a source of conflict as his prostate issues emerged. The first signs were subtle: frequent bathroom trips, restless nights, and a reluctance to talk about discomfort. Linda noticed but hesitated to press, fearing it would upset Tom or make him feel weak. Their relationship was built on mutual respect, but when health issues arose, communication faltered. Linda often found herself alone in her worry, balancing hope and fear as she watched Tom withdraw. Their sons, Matt and Brian, were both in their 20s and busy with their own lives. Matt, the eldest, was an ambitious software developer in California, deeply involved in health tech startups. Brian, quieter and more introspective, lived nearby and worked as a school counselor. Despite distance and busy schedules, the family stayed connected through regular calls and holidays. The diagnosis of Tom's enlarged prostate was a shock that disrupted their carefully constructed lives. Linda's past experiences with illness gave her a grounding presence, but she also felt overwhelmed. Watching Tom struggle with symptoms she barely understood was painful. The couple's once effortless communication now strained under the weight of fear and frustration. Linda's psychology shifted from caregiver to advocate. She researched extensively, connecting with support groups and medical professionals, determined to find ways to help Tom avoid invasive treatments. Her nursing background gave her confidence, but also a humbling awareness of medicine's limits. Tom's resistance to change challenged her patience. He was reluctant to accept help or acknowledge the seriousness of his condition. Arguments flared over diet, exercise, and doctor's appointments. Yet Linda never gave up. She believed deeply in the power of love and persistence. The health tracker Matt recommended became a turning point. It allowed Tom to see tangible progress and setbacks, transforming abstract fears into actionable data. Slowly, the family began to heal the rifts caused by illness. Matt's expertise in health tech brought a new perspective, blending science with empathy. Brian's counseling skills helped navigate emotional turbulence, encouraging open dialogue. Linda and Tom started attending support groups, where they met others facing similar battles. These relationships fostered understanding and hope. Linda's personal journey intertwined with Tom's health challenges, revealing her resilience and capacity for growth. She learned to balance caregiving with self-care, to speak up even when it was uncomfortable, and to embrace vulnerability as a strength rather than a weakness. Her relationship with Tom deepened as they confronted fears together, moving from silence to honesty. The family's dynamic evolved, shifting from roles defined by distance and avoidance to a collective commitment to healing. Linda's backstory, rooted in love, loss, and perseverance, became the foundation for the story that unfolded. It illustrated the complexities of aging, health, and family bonds in modern America. Her journey was one of transformation, from quiet support to active advocacy, embodying the struggles and triumphs many face when confronting life-altering health issues. As the story continues, these roots provide a lens to understand the character's motivations and the emotional landscape that shapes their choices. The cracks in the Harper family's calm began to widen as Tom's condition worsened despite their best efforts. Early on, Linda's gentle reminders about diet and exercise were met with frustration and silence. Tom's stubborn pride became a wall neither could easily breach. He would skip meals meant to be prostate-friendly, favoring old habits of fried foods and late-night snacking. When Linda tried to introduce daily walks, Tom would grunt a refusal or claim exhaustion, retreating to the recliner with a beer in hand. The wearable health tracker Matt had gifted him sat unused on the kitchen counter, a silent symbol of Tom's resistance to change. Tensions mounted, conversations devolving into arguments. One evening, after a particularly rough day marked by frequent bathroom trips and interrupted sleep, Tom snapped at Linda. "I don't need a babysitter," he barked. "You're making this worse." Linda's heart sank. She had only wanted to help, but her persistence felt like nagging to Tom. The emotional distance grew. Their sons, Matt and Brian, sensed the growing divide during visits. Matt, passionate about his health tech startup, tried to engage Tom in discussions about the tracker's data, hoping to motivate him. But Tom's answers were curt, his gaze often fixed on the floor. Brian, with his counseling background, gently encouraged family conversations, but even he struggled to penetrate Tom's stubborn shell. Linda felt caught in the middle, torn between her role as caregiver and wife. She longed for the closeness they once shared but felt powerless as Tom retreated into silence. The rising conflict was not just about health. It was about control, fear, and unspoken grief. Tom feared losing independence, dignity, and the identity he'd built over decades as a provider and protector. Linda feared losing the man she loved, watching him slip away piece by piece. The weight of these fears pressed on their relationship, creating an emotional fog that clouded judgment and empathy. At the same time, external pressures mounted. Doctors' visits became more frequent, each bringing new warnings and adjustments. Medication side effects caused mood swings and fatigue, fueling misunderstandings. The family faced financial strain as medical bills piled up. Social isolation deepened as Tom declined invitations, embarrassed by his symptoms. Despite these challenges, moments of hope punctuated the struggle. One afternoon, after a particularly frustrating argument, Tom agreed to attend a support group with Linda. The group was small, filled with men and women sharing stories of health battles and victories. Listening to others, Tom realized he was not alone. The candid conversations, laughter, and tears offered a fragile sense of connection. He began to open up, sharing his fears about surgery and the future. Linda saw a crack in his armor and reached out with tenderness rather than frustration. This shared experience sparked a new dynamic between them. The climax-hope-climax cycle played out repeatedly. After the support group, Tom tried to engage more with the health tracker, walking short distances and adjusting his diet. Linda felt renewed optimism. But then came setbacks. A urinary tract infection landed Tom in the hospital, reigniting fears and tensions. The family rallied, but the emotional roller coaster took its toll. Through it all, Matt and Brian became more involved. Matt developed new features for the tracker, including reminders and motivational messages tailored to Tom's progress. Brian facilitated family sessions to improve communication, helping each person express fears and hopes. Slowly, the Harper family began to rebuild trust and understanding. They learned that healing was not linear, that conflict was part of growth. Linda's patience, Tom's gradual acceptance, and the son's support formed the glue holding them together. Yet, the rising conflict underscored a deeper truth: the battle was as much psychological as physical. The habits that Elon Musk warned against were embedded in years of lifestyle, pride, and denial. Breaking them required more than information, it demanded empathy, persistence, and love. As the family moved forward, they embraced this complexity, ready to face whatever came next with resilience and hope. The day Tom agreed to undergo a comprehensive health assessment marked the beginning of a new and unexpected journey for the Harper family. It was not just a medical evaluation but the start of a deeper transformation, one that would test their limits, reveal hidden strengths, and challenge every assumption they had about aging, health, and family. The clinic where Tom had his tests was a state-of-the-art facility located downtown, buzzing with the hum of machines and the quiet professionalism of doctors and nurses. The sterile white walls seemed intimidating at first, but Linda held Tom's hand firmly, whispering encouragement as they navigated the labyrinth of corridors. The tests were exhaustive: blood work, ultrasounds, MRIs, and a battery of screenings designed to capture the full picture of Tom's prostate health and overall condition. Each result brought a mix of relief and anxiety. The doctors identified several issues beyond the prostate enlargement: early signs of diabetes, mild hypertension, and the beginnings of arthritis. It was a wake-up call for the entire family. As Tom rested in a small consultation room, the specialist delivered the news with a calm yet urgent tone. The enlarged prostate was advanced but still manageable with the right combination of medication, lifestyle changes, and possibly minimally invasive procedures. However, the additional diagnoses meant Tom's care plan needed to be comprehensive and dynamic. The specialist emphasized the importance of regular monitoring, medication adherence, and physical activity tailored to his capabilities. "This is not the end," the doctor said, "but a chance to reset your health trajectory." For Tom, the words resonated deeply, stirring both fear and resolve. The gravity of his situation was undeniable, yet for the first time, he felt empowered rather than defeated. Linda felt a surge of hope and determination to support him fully through this journey. Back at home, the family gathered around the kitchen table, the clinical results spread out like a map for their next steps. Matt immediately began researching and integrating new features into the wearable health tracker, collaborating with medical advisors to customize alerts for Tom's conditions. Brian organized weekly family meetings to maintain open lines of communication and emotional support. Linda and Tom committed to transforming their daily routines, incorporating meal planning, exercise, and mindfulness practices. The days that followed were a whirlwind of activity and adjustment. Morning started with stretching and light walks around the neighborhood, a ritual that gradually became more enjoyable as Tom's strength improved. Linda experimented with recipes that emphasized anti-inflammatory ingredients, whole grains, and plenty of water, crucial for prostate health. The wearable tracker buzzed regularly, reminding Tom to take medications, hydrate, and move. Over time, the family noticed subtle but encouraging changes: fewer nighttime bathroom trips, increased energy, and better moods. However, the journey was far from smooth. Tom battled fatigue and frustration, moments of doubt creeping in when progress seemed slow. Old habits tugged at him, temptations of comfort foods and sedentary evenings. Linda's patience was tested, but she remained steadfast, offering gentle encouragement instead of criticism. The family celebrated small victories, like a week without urgent symptoms or a new recipe Tom genuinely enjoyed. Their home became a space of experimentation and learning, where setbacks were treated as opportunities to adapt rather than failures. Socially, Tom reconnected with friends and support groups, sharing his journey openly for the first time. These interactions brought renewed confidence and reduced the isolation that had plagued him. Meanwhile, Matt's health tech startup gained momentum as they refined the tracker's user interface, making it easier for seniors to use and for caregivers to stay informed. The Harper family's personal experience fueled their professional passion, blending technology with empathy. The community took notice. Local media featured Tom's story alongside the innovative tracker, inspiring others facing similar health challenges. Linda spoke at events, advocating for awareness about prostate health and the importance of breaking harmful habits early. The climactic journey was as much about discovery as it was about endurance. The family uncovered strengths they didn't know they had: Tom's growing openness, Linda's resilience, Matt's creativity, Brian's empathy. Together, they forged a new path, one marked by hope, commitment, and the recognition that health was a lifelong journey requiring attention, love, and adaptability. The vivid details of their daily life. The crisp morning air during walks, the comforting aroma of fresh meals, the soft glow of evening conversations, painted a picture of transformation not just in body but in spirit. This journey was an adventure filled with hardships and triumphs, but also a testament to the power of family and innovation to overcome adversity. The story of Tom and Linda Harper was no longer just about medical struggle, it had become a beacon of possibility for seniors everywhere facing the daunting prospect of enlarged prostate and other age-related health challenges. They had embarked on this path uncertain and afraid, but emerged stronger, wiser, and deeply connected. The climactic journey was far from over, but with each step forward, the Harpers rewrote what it meant to age with dignity and hope. The emotional climax of Tom and Linda Harper's journey arrived unexpectedly on a chilly autumn evening when the family gathered for their monthly health check-in. The room was filled with a mixture of hope and anxiety, as each member prepared to share updates and discuss the challenges they had faced over the past weeks. Tom, usually reserved, surprised everyone by speaking openly about the fears that had long weighed on his heart, the dread of losing independence, the embarrassment over his condition, and the frustration of relying on others. His voice wavered but carried the raw honesty that had been missing for so long. Linda, watching him, felt a profound mixture of relief and sorrow. Relief because the walls of silence were breaking down, sorrow for all the pain they had endured in isolation. This moment was a turning point, a catharsis that brought the family closer and set the stage for healing. The doctor's earlier warning about potential surgery loomed in the background, a shadow that threatened to undo the progress they had made. Yet, Tom's openness allowed them to confront this fear together rather than alone. As they talked, Matt shared data from the health tracker showing steady improvements in Tom's symptoms and activity levels. Brian offered strategies to manage stress and maintain motivation, reinforcing the idea that this journey was a marathon, not a sprint. Linda shared her reflections on the emotional toll and the importance of mutual support. The conversation ebbed and flowed between tension and tenderness, hope and vulnerability. Then came the unexpected climax. A sudden episode where Tom experienced acute pain and difficulty urinating, forcing an emergency hospital visit. The family's collective breath caught as they rushed to his side, uncertainty and fear gripping their hearts. At the hospital, doctors confirmed that while the enlarged prostate had worsened, the condition was manageable with a minor procedure and adjustments to medication. The news brought both relief and a renewed sense of urgency. Tom's resilience was tested, but his spirit remained unbroken. In the hospital room, as Linda held his hand, Tom confessed that the journey had transformed him. He acknowledged the shame and denial that had once ruled him and expressed gratitude for the family's unwavering support. The emotional climax was not just about a medical crisis, it was about breaking down barriers, confronting fears, and embracing vulnerability. This pivotal event deepened the bonds between Tom, Linda, and their sons. It also underscored the message that health struggles are complex and often intertwined with emotional and psychological challenges. The climax-hope climax rhythm played out vividly, the initial crisis, the hope of treatment and recovery, and the subsequent challenges that would continue to test them. Yet through it all, the Harpers learned that hope was not naive optimism but a courageous choice to face reality with love and determination. This emotional apex reshaped their understanding of what it meant to care for each other and themselves. Tom became an advocate for open conversations about men's health, sharing his story to break stigma and encourage early intervention. Linda found strength in vulnerability, realizing that her role was not just to care but to empower. The sons deepened their commitment to using technology and counseling to support others. The family's journey illuminated the profound truth that health is holistic, encompassing body, mind, and spirit. The emotional climax was both a culmination and a new beginning, marking a shift from fear and isolation to connection and purpose. The lessons learned in this crucible of crisis would guide them forward, inspiring others to face their own battles with honesty and hope. As the chapter closes, the Harpers stand united, ready to embrace the future with open hearts and a renewed sense of possibility. After months of trials, setbacks, and small victories, the Harper family found themselves standing at a new horizon, a place of acceptance, growth, and profound understanding. Tom's health had stabilized, his enlarged prostate symptoms managed through a combination of lifestyle changes, medical intervention, and the unwavering support of his family. The journey had transformed not only his body but the very fabric of their relationships. Linda reflected on the long path they had walked, from the early days of fear and denial to the present moment of calm resilience. She realized that the true lesson of their experience was not simply about managing a medical condition, but about the power of love, communication, and adaptability. The couple's renewed connection was evident in the quiet morning rituals they shared, gentle stretches, conversations over coffee, and the planning of future adventures that had once seemed impossible. Tom, once reluctant and withdrawn, now embraced his role as an advocate for men's health, openly discussing his journey with friends and community groups to reduce stigma and encourage early awareness. Matt's health tech startup continued to grow, fueled by the family's personal story and commitment to helping others navigate chronic health issues. The wearable tracker had become a symbol of hope and empowerment for countless seniors, blending technology with compassion. Brian's counseling work expanded to include specialized support for families dealing with prostate health challenges, bridging the emotional and practical aspects of care. The resolution of their story was not a fairy tale ending but a realistic, hopeful new chapter marked by ongoing attention and love. Linda understood that health was a lifelong journey requiring vigilance and kindness toward oneself and others. She often thought back to the viral video from Elon Musk that had sparked the initial change, a reminder that sometimes, the most unexpected sources can inspire profound transformation. The message that seniors must stop harmful habits or risk enlarged prostate resonated deeply. It was a call to action not just for Tom but for anyone willing to listen and change. The Harper's story became a beacon for others, illustrating that even in the face of daunting health challenges, hope and progress are possible. Linda's philosophy crystallized into a simple but powerful truth: life is full of surprises, but love will always lead the way. She shared this wisdom with those she met, encouraging a shift from fear and stigma to openness and proactive care. Their experience underscored the importance of family, communication, and the courage to confront difficult truths. The chapter closed on a note of gratitude and possibility, inviting readers to reflect on their own habits and relationships. The Harper's journey was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the transformative power of support and understanding. As the sun set over their Indianapolis neighborhood, Linda and Tom sat together on the porch, hands entwined, ready to face whatever came next with hope, strength, and love. What if you suddenly lost everything and had no one by your side? Imagine waking up one morning to find your life unraveling in ways you never expected. That's exactly what happened to Linda Harper when her husband Tom's health took a drastic turn. This story might just spark a new beginning. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? Linda's journey began on an ordinary morning in their Indianapolis home. Tom had been struggling with symptoms for months: frequent trips to the bathroom, restless nights, and subtle changes that neither wanted to confront. But that day, the symptoms escalated rapidly. Tom experienced severe pain and difficulty urinating that sent Linda into a panic. The emergency room visit that followed was a shock. Tom's prostate enlargement had progressed to a critical stage, threatening his quality of life and independence. Linda found herself overwhelmed, suddenly thrust into a role she never anticipated: caregiver, advocate, and emotional anchor. Their once peaceful family life was shattered by fear, uncertainty, and the looming specter of invasive medical procedures. The weight of responsibility pressed heavily on Linda's shoulders. She wrestled with questions about how to help Tom and protect their family's future. Would their sons, Matt and Brian, be able to support them? Could technology and medicine offer solutions? And most importantly, how could they maintain hope in the face of adversity? This opening chapter sets the stage for an intimate exploration of love, struggle, and resilience. Linda's story is not unique. Millions of seniors face similar challenges with prostate health, often in silence and isolation. But it's a story of courage and transformation, showing how even the darkest moments can ignite a spark of change. Through the lens of Linda and Tom Harper's experience, we delve into the realities of aging, health risks, and the critical importance of early intervention. The narrative will unfold in chronological order, capturing the highs and lows, the fears and triumphs, and the unbreakable bonds of family that hold everything together. Along the way, expert perspectives will offer insights into the science behind prostate health, the habits that can exacerbate conditions, and the innovative technologies helping seniors live fuller lives. The chapter ends with a shocking punchline that reveals how a simple habit, overlooked by many, can dramatically increase the risk of an enlarged prostate, something Elon Musk himself has recently warned seniors to stop immediately. This revelation challenges assumptions and calls for urgent attention. So, join us on this journey. Hit subscribe and share your story or thoughts in the comments below. Where are you watching from? What drives you forward, even when the road gets tough? Because this story might just spark a new beginning for you or someone you love. The stage is set, the players are ready, and the story of the Harpers is about to unfold in a way that will touch hearts, inspire change, and remind us all that no one faces these battles alone. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? Linda Harper grew up in a small town outside Cincinnati, Ohio, raised by hardworking parents who valued family above all else. From a young age, she learned the importance of perseverance and compassion, watching her mother care tirelessly for ailing relatives and her father juggle multiple jobs to keep the household afloat. Those lessons shaped Linda into the nurturing, determined woman she became. She met Tom during college at Indiana University, where they bonded over shared dreams and a mutual love of innovation and family. Tom was a bright engineer with a streak of stubborn independence. Linda's empathy balanced his headstrong nature. Their marriage was a partnership forged through years of joys and challenges, raising two sons, Matt and Brian, while building a comfortable life in Indianapolis. Yet beneath the surface, Tom carried unresolved fears and pride that would later complicate their journey. As a man who had always been the family's protector and provider, admitting vulnerability about his health was difficult. Early signs of prostate trouble were ignored or downplayed, fueled by denial and a deep-rooted belief in self-reliance. Linda, ever attentive, sensed the growing problem but struggled to break through Tom's resistance. Their relationship was a delicate dance of love and frustration, hope and worry. Matt, their eldest, inherited his father's analytical mind and passion for technology, often acting as a bridge between Tom's world and the rapidly changing digital landscape. Brian, the younger son, gravitated toward counseling and social work, driven by a desire to heal emotional wounds he sensed in his family. The brothers' differing paths would later play a crucial role in supporting their parents. Linda's own psychology was shaped by a lifetime of caregiving, balancing strength with vulnerability. She often put others' needs before her own, a trait that both defined and challenged her as she faced the mounting health crisis. Memories of past losses and sacrifices lingered, fueling her determination but also causing moments of exhaustion and doubt. These emotional layers added depth to her character, making her journey relatable and poignant. The backstory reveals a family woven together by love and complexity, each member carrying unique struggles and strengths. It sets the foundation for the unfolding drama, showing how past experiences influence present choices and future resilience. Understanding Linda and Tom's history allows the audience to connect deeply with their motivations and fears, creating empathy and investment in their story. This chapter also highlights the importance of communication and support systems, emphasizing that no health challenge exists in isolation. It lays the groundwork for exploring the dynamics that will both strain and strengthen the family as they confront the realities of prostate enlargement. Through vivid descriptions and emotional insight, the backstory brings the characters to life, painting a picture of ordinary people facing extraordinary circumstances. Their humanity shines through, inviting readers to reflect on their own families, health habits, and the power of love to endure hardship. As the narrative moves forward, the foundation laid here will support the rising conflicts, climactic moments, and ultimate resolution that define the Harper family's journey. The rising conflict in the Harper family's story began subtly but quickly escalated, testing their unity and resilience. As Tom's prostate symptoms worsened, tension mounted between him and Linda. Tom's stubborn refusal to fully embrace the necessary lifestyle changes frustrated Linda, who saw firsthand the toll his habits were taking. Their once harmonious home became a battleground of silent resentments and unspoken fears. Tom's pride clashed with Linda's growing insistence on urgent action. At the same time, Matt and Brian found themselves caught in the middle, trying to mediate while dealing with their own struggles. Matt's increasing workload on the health tech project left him drained, while Brian's counseling practice brought him face to face with the emotional toll of aging and illness in others. The family dynamic shifted as communication broke down. Misunderstandings multiplied. Tom misinterpreted Linda's concern as criticism, Linda perceived Tom's withdrawal as denial, and the sons felt powerless to help. A sense of isolation crept into their relationships, compounding the physical challenges Tom faced. This period was marked by the classic, climax, hope, climax, rhythm. At first, Tom's symptoms spiked sharply, leading to a frightening episode that landed him in the hospital. The family rallied together, finding hope in medical support and a promising treatment plan. Yet soon after, complications arose, side effects from medication, emotional burnout, and renewed doubts about the future. These ups and downs created a roller coaster of emotions, each peak bringing relief and each valley deepening anxiety. The conflicts weren't limited to health issues, old wounds and unresolved tensions resurfaced. Linda's feelings of exhaustion led to moments of frustration and impatience, while Tom's fear of dependence fueled irritability. The sons grappled with guilt over balancing their own lives with their parents' needs. The household was a pressure cooker of emotions, threatening to implode. But amidst the turmoil, sparks of hope shone through. Therapy sessions facilitated by Brian helped open channels of communication. Matt's technological innovations began to show promise in managing symptoms, giving Tom a sense of control he had lacked. Family dinners, once strained, slowly regained warmth as everyone made conscious efforts to listen and support. The rising conflict was a crucible forging stronger bonds and deeper understanding. It highlighted the complexity of chronic illness, how physical symptoms intertwine with emotional and relational challenges. The family learned that progress was not linear and that setbacks required patience and resilience. This chapter delves into the raw, often painful moments that test the Harpers, making their eventual growth and resolution all the more powerful. Through vivid emotional detail and tension, the story captures the universal experience of struggle and hope within families facing health crises. The conflicts, misunderstandings, and moments of despair set the stage for the transformative climactic journey ahead, emphasizing that healing requires confronting both external obstacles and internal barriers. The Harper family's rising conflict is a mirror to many, reminding readers that in the face of adversity, conflict is inevitable but not insurmountable. It is the way through, not around, that leads to healing and renewal. The climactic journey for the Harper family began when Tom agreed to enter a specialized treatment program designed to address his enlarged prostate and improve his overall well-being. This decision marked a turning point, propelling them into a new phase of challenges and discoveries. The clinic was located in a serene, wooded area outside Indianapolis, a setting carefully chosen for its peaceful environment conducive to healing. The contrast between the clinical procedures and the natural beauty of the surroundings created a vivid backdrop for the emotional and physical journey ahead. Tom's first days at the program were filled with uncertainty and discomfort. The medical team introduced him to a comprehensive regimen combining medication, physical therapy, dietary changes, and mindfulness techniques. Each component pushed him beyond his comfort zone, forcing him to confront long-standing habits and fears. Linda stayed by his side, her support unwavering but tinged with anxiety. The sons, Matt and Brian, participated remotely, using technology to monitor progress and offer emotional support. The narrative zooms in on the detailed descriptions of the clinic's spaces. The sterile yet comforting treatment rooms, the quiet walking trails lined with golden leaves, the communal dining hall where patients shared stories and encouragement. These vivid settings heighten the drama and realism of the journey. Emotionally, Tom grappled with feelings of vulnerability and hope. The treatment sessions were physically taxing and emotionally draining, yet moments of connection with other patients and breakthroughs in symptom management ignited sparks of optimism. Linda confronted her own fears about losing Tom and learned to balance caregiving with self-care. Matt and Brian's involvement deepened their appreciation for the complexities of health and family dynamics. The climax-hope climax structure is evident as Tom faces initial setbacks and pain, then experiences hopeful signs of improvement, only to encounter new obstacles such as side effects and emotional fatigue. These cycles reflect the nonlinear nature of healing, emphasizing perseverance. Throughout the journey, unexpected discoveries emerge, new friendships, insights into mental health's role in physical healing, and the power of community. Tom's perspective shifts from resignation to proactive engagement, fueled by a growing sense of agency. Linda's reflections highlight the importance of adaptability and patience. The son's contributions underscore the integration of technology and empathy in modern healthcare. The chapter also explores broader themes of aging, masculinity, and the stigma surrounding men's health issues, weaving them seamlessly into the personal story. The climactic journey is not just a medical odyssey but a transformative adventure that reshapes identities and relationships. As the chapter draws to a close, Tom completes a critical milestone in the program, a successful test showing significant reduction in symptoms. This achievement is met with quiet celebration and renewed determination. The family, though still facing uncertainties, feels a collective strength born from shared struggle and hope. The journey ahead remains challenging, but the Harpers are equipped with new tools, deeper understanding, and an unbreakable bond. The chapter ends with a powerful image of Tom walking the clinic's wooded trails, sunlight filtering through the trees, symbolizing a path forward illuminated by courage and love. The emotional climax for Tom and Linda Harper unfolded during the quiet hours of a cold winter night, a moment heavy with vulnerability and revelation that would forever alter their relationship and outlook. After weeks of treatment and gradual improvements, Tom awoke with sudden, sharp pain and confusion that sent him into a state of panic. Linda was instantly by his side, her calm presence anchoring him even as the fear and uncertainty surged between them. They found themselves at the crossroads of hope and despair. Tom's physical struggle a reflection of deeper emotional battles he had long kept hidden. As they waited in the sterile hospital emergency room, the tension was palpable. Tom's stoic facade cracked, revealing fears of loss, aging, and dependence that had haunted him silently for years. Linda's heart ached witnessing his vulnerability, yet she felt a surge of compassion and determination. The emotional climax was marked by their candid conversations in the hospital room, where walls built from pride and fear began to crumble. Tom confessed his shame about needing help, his fear of becoming a burden, and the isolation that had gripped him. Linda shared her own fears, the possibility of losing the man she loved, the exhaustion of caregiving, and the fragile hope that kept her going. This moment of raw honesty transformed their bond, creating a space for deeper understanding and empathy. The climax-hope climax pattern played out as the medical team confirmed the severity of Tom's condition, sparking renewed anxiety, followed by hope with the promise of effective treatment, and then a renewed challenge as complications threatened to derail progress. Through it all, the emotional undercurrent was one of connection and resilience. The family support system rallied, Matt and Brian provided encouragement and practical assistance, while friends and community members offered prayers and kindness. Tom's emotional breakthrough became a catalyst for the entire family to confront their fears and strengthen their ties. Linda reflected on the profound lesson that vulnerability is not weakness but a doorway to healing and intimacy. The chapter delves deeply into the characters' internal landscapes, revealing the complex interplay of pride, fear, love, and courage. The hospital's cold, impersonal environment contrasts sharply with the warmth of human connection that emerges amidst the crisis. The narrative captures every subtle shift in emotion, every glance and word that carries weight beyond the immediate moment. This emotional climax serves as a powerful turning point, signaling a readiness to face the future with openness and hope. It underscores the importance of communication and shared vulnerability in overcoming not just medical challenges but the emotional isolation that can accompany them. The chapter closes with Tom and Linda holding hands, their hearts heavy but united, ready to face whatever lies ahead together. The emotional climax is not an end but a beginning, an invitation to embrace imperfection, seek support, and find strength in love's transformative power. The resolution of the Harper family's journey began not with grand gestures but quiet acceptance and newfound clarity. After months of treatment, emotional breakthroughs, and the inevitable setbacks that come with chronic health challenges, Tom and Linda found themselves in a place of balance, a space where hope and reality coexisted with grace. Tom's prostate condition was no longer a shadow looming over their lives but a managed part of their everyday existence. This shift brought profound relief and an opportunity for reflection on what they had learned and how they had grown. Linda often thought about the lessons embedded in their experience, the vital importance of early intervention, the power of open communication, and the irreplaceable role of family support. She realized that Tom's journey mirrored so many others, men who suffer silently, burdened by stigma and pride. Their story became a beacon of awareness in their community, inspiring others to face their health proactively. The family's collective resilience was a testament to love's capacity to endure hardship and foster growth. Tom's transformation was as much emotional as physical. He embraced vulnerability, allowing himself to lean on loved ones without shame. Linda's caregiving evolved into partnership, grounded in mutual respect and shared strength. The sons, Matt and Brian, grew closer to their parents and to each other, their own lives enriched by the experience. This resolution also prompted the Harpers to advocate for broader change. Matt's startup gained traction by focusing on senior health technologies informed by their personal story, while Brian developed support programs addressing the emotional side of men's health. The family's journey underscored that healing extends beyond the body. It requires nurturing the spirit and connections that sustain us. Linda's reflections emphasize that life's unpredictability demands adaptability, patience, and kindness, toward ourselves and those we love. The final scenes captured the simple joys reclaimed, family dinners filled with laughter, walks in the neighborhood, and quiet evenings on the porch. The Harper's story closed with a powerful message that resonated beyond their walls: life is full of surprises, but love will always lead the way. It was a reminder that no matter the challenges we face, the bonds we build and the lessons we learn become the true measure of our journey. The resolution left readers with a sense of optimism and encouragement, inviting them to cherish their health, nurture their relationships, and face life's uncertainties with courage. The Harper family's experience, though deeply personal, reflected universal truths about aging, illness, and the enduring strength found in love and hope. Their story, once marked by fear and uncertainty, ended with quiet dignity and a renewed vision for the future. Proof that even in our most difficult moments, we can find meaning, connection, and the promise of new beginnings. As the Harpers moved beyond their immediate health crisis, their lives began to settle into a new rhythm shaped by the lessons they had learned. Tom's commitment to maintaining his health grew stronger each day, fueled by the knowledge that early detection and lifestyle changes were key to preventing further complications. Linda, too, embraced a healthier lifestyle alongside him, finding joy in shared walks and cooking nutritious meals together. The family's bond deepened as Matt's tech company launched a new app designed to help seniors monitor prostate health symptoms and connect with medical professionals remotely. Inspired by his father's journey, Matt worked tirelessly to make the technology accessible and user-friendly, aiming to empower men who often delayed seeking help. Brian, drawing on his counseling background, developed workshops focusing on the emotional challenges faced by men with chronic health issues, addressing topics like stigma, mental health, and communication within families. The Harper's story began to inspire their community, sparking conversations about men's health that were long overdue. Their neighborhood organized health fairs, and local clinics started offering screenings and educational seminars based on the family's experience. Yet, despite these positive developments, the Harpers were reminded that vigilance was essential. Tom faced occasional flare-ups that tested his resolve and the family's support network. Each challenge reinforced their commitment to openness, patience, and proactive care. Linda reflected often on how far they had come, from denial and fear to acceptance and action. The family learned that health is not a static condition but a dynamic journey requiring ongoing attention and adaptation. The story underscored the importance of breaking down barriers around men's health issues, encouraging men to speak openly and seek help early. It also highlighted how technology and community support could work hand in hand to improve outcomes and quality of life. The Harpers' evolving journey served as a model of resilience, hope, and proactive empowerment, reminding readers that no one should face health challenges alone and that small changes can have profound impacts. As the chapter closed, Tom and Linda sat together on their porch, watching the sunset and feeling grateful for the unexpected path that had brought them closer and given their lives new meaning. Their story was far from over, but they faced the future united, hopeful, and stronger than ever. As the Harpers embraced their new normal, they found themselves navigating the delicate balance between hope and caution. Tom's health was stable, but the reality of living with a chronic condition meant that vigilance was a constant companion. Linda became an advocate not just for her husband but for all seniors who might be silently suffering. She began volunteering at local health centers, sharing their story and encouraging men to undergo regular prostate screenings and to pay attention to early warning signs. This advocacy brought new meaning to her life, transforming her pain and fear into purpose and empowerment. Meanwhile, Matt's technology startup gained momentum, with the app receiving positive reviews from medical professionals and users alike. It became a tool that not only monitored symptoms but also connected seniors to virtual support groups and counseling services, addressing the often overlooked emotional side of health challenges. Brian's workshops expanded, reaching beyond their community into neighboring cities. He found that many men struggled not only with physical symptoms but also with the stigma of discussing intimate health issues. His work helped to open dialogue, reduce shame, and promote mental health awareness. The Harpers' combined efforts created a ripple effect, inspiring other families to confront health challenges with honesty and support. However, the journey was not without its hurdles. Tom faced a scare when routine tests showed a potential complication, triggering anxiety and a reassessment of his treatment plan. The family rallied once again, drawing on the strength they had cultivated through their experiences. This episode reinforced the lesson that chronic health conditions require ongoing attention and adaptation. Linda's reflections deepened as she recognized the importance of self-care for caregivers, acknowledging that tending to one's own emotional and physical health is essential to supporting loved ones effectively. The chapter also explored the role of community and technology in bridging gaps in healthcare access, particularly for seniors who might feel isolated or hesitant to seek help. The Harpers' story demonstrated how innovation, empathy, and proactive engagement could transform lives. As the chapter concluded, the family gathered for a holiday celebration, surrounded by friends and neighbors whose lives had been touched by their journey. The atmosphere was filled with gratitude, resilience, and hope, a testament to the power of facing challenges together. The Harpers knew that while the future held uncertainties, their shared commitment to love, health, and advocacy would guide them forward. Their story continued as a beacon of courage and compassion, inspiring others to take charge of their health and support one another through life's unexpected trials. With the passage of time, the Harper family grew even more intertwined with their community's health initiatives, becoming local champions for men's wellness and awareness around prostate health. Tom's journey, once a private struggle, was now a catalyst for change far beyond their household. Linda's volunteering efforts expanded as she partnered with medical organizations to develop educational programs tailored to seniors and their families. Her compassionate storytelling and first-hand experience resonated deeply, breaking down long-standing taboos around male health issues. Matt's health tech company thrived, fueled by genuine purpose and the feedback from users who found empowerment and connection through the app. His innovations integrated new features that addressed not only physical symptoms but also mental wellness, lifestyle tracking, and community forums. Brian's counseling workshops grew to include family members, emphasizing how open communication could improve outcomes and emotional resilience. The Harpers learned that battling illness was never just a personal fight, it was a collective effort requiring understanding, empathy, and collaboration. Despite their successes, the family faced personal challenges that tested their resolve. Tom's occasional health setbacks reminded them that progress is rarely linear. Linda struggled with balancing her advocacy work with moments of exhaustion and doubt. The sons managed their professional and personal lives, sometimes feeling overwhelmed by the weight of family expectations. Yet these challenges underscored the importance of self-care, mutual support, and realistic expectations. The chapter explored the complexities of managing chronic health conditions within family dynamics, highlighting the emotional nuances and the evolving roles each member played. The Harpers' story served as a microcosm of the broader social shifts toward openness, innovation, and community-based care. Vivid descriptions captured the energy of local health fairs, workshops, and neighborhood gatherings where stories were shared, fears addressed, and hope nurtured. The narrative emphasized that while no single solution fits all, the combination of technology, education, emotional support, and family unity can profoundly impact lives. As this chapter concluded, the Harpers gathered at a community event, surrounded by faces whose lives they had touched. The sense of connection and purpose was palpable, a testament to how far they had come from the early days of fear and silence. Their journey illustrated the power of resilience, love, and the courage to speak openly about difficult topics. The family's story continued to inspire, reminding readers that health challenges, while daunting, can become opportunities for growth, connection, and positive change. The Harper family's journey had become emblematic of a larger movement toward proactive men's health awareness, blending personal experience with community advocacy and innovation. Tom's story, once marked by denial and fear, had evolved into a narrative of empowerment and education. This chapter focused on the ongoing impact of their efforts and the ripple effects felt in their town and beyond. Linda continued to serve as a powerful voice for seniors, speaking at local events and collaborating with healthcare providers to ensure men had access to the resources and screenings they often overlooked. Her message was simple yet profound: early intervention saves lives, and no one should feel ashamed to seek help. Matt's company experienced a breakthrough as their app was adopted by several healthcare networks, providing a valuable tool for men managing prostate health issues and connecting them with specialists and support groups. This technological innovation bridged gaps between patients and providers, fostering a community of shared knowledge and encouragement. Brian's counseling work addressed the psychological dimensions of chronic illness, offering families strategies to communicate openly and manage the emotional toll. He developed new programs tailored to address anxiety and depression linked to health struggles, emphasizing the importance of mental wellness alongside physical treatment. The chapter described the Harpers' engagement in statewide initiatives, partnerships with nonprofits, and the positive media coverage that amplified their message. Their story inspired many, encouraging men to prioritize their health and families to offer compassionate support. Despite the positive momentum, the family faced reminders of the ongoing nature of chronic illness management. Tom encountered periods of uncertainty and discomfort that tested his optimism and the family's resilience. Linda reflected on the importance of adaptability and grace in facing setbacks. Matt and Brian continued to balance professional responsibilities with their commitment to family health advocacy. The narrative captured the intricate balance between progress and challenge, hope and reality. Detailed descriptions of community events, healthcare settings, and personal moments illustrated the interconnectedness of their journey with broader social changes. The chapter closed with a hopeful vision of continued progress, underscoring that health is a lifelong journey enriched by love, knowledge, and support. The Harper's story served as a lasting reminder that confronting difficult health issues openly can transform lives and communities, turning fear into strength and silence into shared purpose. The Harper family's ongoing commitment to men's health awareness led them to unexpected opportunities for growth and impact. As their community embraced the message of early detection and emotional openness, Tom, Linda, Matt, and Brian found themselves stepping into roles that extended beyond their initial hopes. Tom became a mentor for newly diagnosed men, offering support grounded in lived experience, while Linda expanded her volunteer work into organizing local support groups that bridged generational gaps. Matt's tech startup evolved to include features based on user feedback that enhanced accessibility for seniors with varying levels of digital literacy, ensuring that no one was left behind. Brian's workshops incorporated new research on the intersection of mental health and chronic illness, providing families with practical tools to navigate these challenges together. The chapter illustrated how the family's personal journey had blossomed into a movement, weaving their story into the fabric of their community's health culture. Despite their busy schedules and the emotional weight of their advocacy, the Harpers maintained a strong family bond, finding strength and renewal in shared meals, celebrations, and quiet moments. The narrative highlighted the complexities of balancing public roles with private lives, revealing the sacrifices and joys intertwined in their mission. Tom faced health fluctuations that reminded them of the fragile nature of progress, yet each challenge reinforced their determination and adaptability. Linda's reflections deepened, recognizing that their story was about more than medical treatment, it was about human connection, resilience, and hope. The chapter also addressed broader societal issues, including the stigma men face around vulnerability and the importance of dismantling these barriers for better health outcomes. Vivid descriptions of community events, intimate family interactions, and moments of personal insight enriched the narrative, creating a tapestry of experience that felt both universal and uniquely American. As the chapter drew to a close, the Harpers prepared to host a regional health summit, a culmination of their efforts and a beacon for others seeking support and knowledge. The event promised to bring together experts, families, and advocates in a shared commitment to transforming men's health through education, empathy, and innovation. The family's journey had come full circle, from private struggle to public leadership, embodying the profound power of love, perseverance, and shared purpose. As the day of the Regional Health Summit approached, the Harpers felt a mixture of excitement and nervous anticipation. Months of planning, outreach, and collaboration had brought them to this pivotal moment where their personal journey would intersect with a larger movement for men's health awareness. Tom was scheduled to speak about his experience, sharing the raw truths of living with prostate challenges and the importance of early detection. Linda was organizing breakout sessions focused on caregiving, emotional support, and community resources. Matt was showcasing the latest updates to his health app, demonstrating how technology could bridge gaps in access and foster connection. Brian was leading workshops on mental health strategies for chronic illness, aiming to equip families with tools to manage stress and build resilience. The summit venue buzzed with energy as healthcare professionals, community leaders, families, and advocates gathered with a shared commitment to breaking down stigma and improving outcomes. Throughout the day, stories of struggle and hope intertwined, creating a powerful tapestry of collective experience. Tom's speech moved many to tears and applause, his vulnerability inspiring others to seek help and speak openly. Linda's sessions fostered deep conversations about the emotional labor of caregiving and the need for self-care. Matt's technology demonstrations highlighted practical solutions to real-world challenges faced by seniors and their families. Brian's workshops provided a safe space for honest dialogue about mental health, often a silent companion to physical illness. The summit's success underscored the impact the Harpers had made beyond their own circle, transforming pain into purpose and personal growth into community empowerment. In quieter moments, the family reflected on how far they had come, from initial fear and isolation to leadership and advocacy. The chapter painted vivid scenes of connection, learning, and shared determination, illustrating how individual stories can fuel collective change. As the event closed, the Harpers were approached by representatives from statewide health organizations, eager to expand the program and replicate its model. This recognition affirmed their efforts and hinted at the broader influence they could wield in the future. The chapter ended on a hopeful note, emphasizing that while challenges remain, progress is built through courage, compassion, and collaboration. The Harpers' story continued to inspire, a testament to the transformative power of facing adversity with open hearts and unwavering commitment. The final chapter of the Harper family's journey brought a profound sense of closure and renewal, a testament to the transformative power of love, resilience, and community. Reflecting on the years since Tom's diagnosis and the challenges that followed, Linda and Tom felt a deep gratitude for the unexpected path that had reshaped their lives. They had moved from fear and silence to openness and advocacy, from isolation to connection. The family's collective experience had not only improved Tom's health but also sparked lasting changes in their community and beyond. Linda's volunteer work flourished as she continued to educate and empower seniors and caregivers, spreading the message that no one should suffer in silence. Tom, once reluctant to share his story, now embraced his role as a mentor and advocate, finding purpose in helping others navigate similar struggles. Matt's tech company expanded, continually innovating to meet the evolving needs of users, bridging healthcare and technology to improve lives. Brian's counseling programs gained recognition for addressing the emotional dimensions of chronic illness, helping families build stronger, healthier relationships. The chapter captured the richness of these roles, showing how personal hardship had been transformed into a force for good. The family gatherings grew more meaningful, filled with laughter, support, and the shared understanding forged through adversity. Linda often reflected on the core lessons learned, the necessity of early intervention, the strength found in vulnerability, and the healing power of love and community. The narrative emphasized that while health challenges can be daunting, they also offer opportunities for growth, connection, and purpose. Detailed descriptions of moments. Quiet conversations on the porch, celebrations with friends, collaborative meetings with health leaders, created a vivid portrait of a family and community transformed. The story closed with a hopeful, inspiring message: life's unpredictable trials can lead to unexpected blessings when faced with courage and compassion. The Harpers' journey was a beacon for others facing health struggles, a reminder that no one is truly alone and that together, through honesty, support, and innovation, we can overcome even the most daunting obstacles. Their final reflection was clear: life is full of surprises, but love will always lead the way. With this, the Harper family's story came full circle, ending not with an end, but a new beginning, one marked by hope, strength, and the enduring power of human connection. After the summit and the years of advocacy that followed, the Harper family found themselves reflecting deeply on how their journey had reshaped not just their lives but also their sense of purpose. Life had settled into a new rhythm, one that balanced the demands of health management, family, and community engagement. Tom's prostate condition was now well managed, and though it was a part of his daily routine, it no longer defined him. Linda continued her volunteer work but had also begun writing a blog chronicling their experiences, hoping to reach an even wider audience. The blog resonated widely, connecting with readers across the country who were navigating similar health challenges or supporting loved ones. Matt's health tech startup expanded beyond its original scope, developing partnerships with hospitals and senior centers nationwide. His work was driven by the mission to make health monitoring accessible, empowering seniors and their families with real-time tools and educational resources. Brian's counseling programs gained national recognition, and he was invited to speak at conferences about the importance of integrating mental health care with chronic illness management. The Harpers realized their journey had evolved into a legacy. A testament to resilience, love, and the power of shared stories. Despite their busy lives, the family prioritized togetherness, recognizing that their strongest support was one another. They hosted monthly dinners, often inviting friends, neighbors, and colleagues from their advocacy work, creating a community that extended well beyond blood ties. These gatherings became celebrations of survival, hope, and progress. Linda reflected often on the stigma that still surrounded men's health issues and resolved to keep pushing boundaries. She launched a podcast interviewing men from diverse backgrounds, breaking down myths and fostering candid conversations. The podcast gained a loyal following, amplifying voices that were too often unheard. Tom took pride in mentoring younger men, sharing his story not as a cautionary tale but as a beacon of hope and empowerment. He emphasized the importance of regular checkups, honest dialogue with doctors, and embracing lifestyle changes. Not as burdens but as acts of self-love. Matt innovated new features for the app, including community challenges encouraging users to adopt healthier habits and mental wellness check-ins to reduce isolation and anxiety. Brian developed workshops specifically for caregivers, recognizing that supporting a loved one with chronic illness requires attention to one's own mental and emotional health. Throughout it all, the Harpers remained grounded by their core belief that love and openness could transform even the most daunting challenges into opportunities for growth and connection. The chapter captured vivid moments of their evolving family life, from quiet mornings sipping coffee on the porch to spirited discussions about the future of men's health advocacy. The narrative emphasized that progress is ongoing, marked by small victories and continuous learning. The Harpers' story stood as a powerful reminder that no one has to face health struggles alone and that with courage, compassion, and community, healing and hope are always within reach. As the chapter closed, Linda shared a message with her readers and listeners: your story matters. Your health matters. And together, we can change the conversation, and the outcome, for millions. This final chapter of the Harper legacy offered not only closure but a call to action, inspiring all who encountered their journey to take charge of their health, support their loved ones, and embrace life's challenges with heart and resilience. As time went on, the Harper family's influence in the field of men's health advocacy continued to grow, yet their lives remained grounded in the simple values that had carried them through their journey: love, honesty, and perseverance. Tom's health remained stable, but he never took it for granted, maintaining a routine that combined regular medical checkups, healthy habits, and mental wellness practices. Linda's work evolved beyond local and national advocacy into collaborations with healthcare policymakers, aiming to integrate prostate health awareness into broader public health campaigns. She became a sought-after speaker, advocating for policies that improved access to screenings and education for underserved populations. Matt's technology company expanded into new markets, including partnerships with veteran organizations and rural health providers, addressing barriers to care that many men face due to geography or socioeconomic factors. His commitment to user-centered design ensured that the app remained intuitive and accessible to users of all ages and backgrounds. Brian's counseling programs developed specialized modules focused on men's emotional health and its impact on relationships, helping families cultivate communication strategies that fostered understanding and resilience. The Harpers' efforts collectively contributed to a shifting cultural landscape, where men's health was no longer a taboo subject but a vital component of overall well-being. Despite the expanding scope of their work, the family always made time for each other, understanding that their personal connection was the wellspring of their strength and motivation. Family dinners remained a cherished tradition, a space where stories were shared, challenges were met with support, and laughter was abundant. The chapter described vivid scenes of these gatherings, capturing the warmth and humor that defined their bond. Linda's podcast continued to flourish, featuring interviews with men from various walks of life: athletes, artists, veterans, everyday heroes, each bringing unique perspectives on vulnerability and strength. These conversations further humanized men's health issues and inspired listeners to take proactive steps in their own lives. Tom's mentorship expanded through community groups and online forums, where he provided guidance and encouragement to men newly facing prostate health concerns. His openness helped dismantle fears and stigma, creating a ripple effect of awareness and early action. Matt introduced gamification features into the app, encouraging users to engage in healthy behaviors through challenges and rewards, making wellness both fun and motivating. Brian's workshops incorporated the latest research on stress management and emotional regulation, equipping families with tools to navigate the psychological complexities of chronic illness together. The chapter highlighted how technology, psychology, and personal narrative intertwine to create a holistic approach to men's health. The Harper's story inspired many, showing that the path from crisis to advocacy is paved with empathy, education, and community. As the chapter drew to a close, the family prepared to launch a nationwide campaign aimed at schools, workplaces, and community centers to normalize conversations about men's health from an early age. This ambitious initiative embodied their belief that change starts with awareness and grows through collective action. The chapter ended on an uplifting note, emphasizing that while challenges remain, the Harper family's journey illuminated a way forward, one defined by courage, connection, and hope. Their legacy was not just their own but belonged to everyone committed to breaking down barriers and building healthier futures. The Harper family's nationwide campaign to normalize men's health conversations gained remarkable momentum, fueled by their years of dedication and the authenticity of their message. Linda's podcast episodes became a cornerstone of the campaign, with special guests including doctors, psychologists, athletes, and everyday men sharing their personal stories. The series tackled myths and misinformation head-on, encouraging men to take control of their health and seek support without shame or hesitation. Tom's role as a mentor expanded into a visible spokesperson position. He appeared on local TV programs, radio shows, and community panels, always emphasizing the importance of early detection and emotional openness. His relatable story resonated deeply with men who had long avoided medical checkups out of fear or stigma. Matt's Health app introduced innovative features like live chats with medical professionals and peer support networks, making it easier for users to connect and feel supported at any hour. These technological advancements bridged the gap between patients and providers, particularly in underserved areas where healthcare access was limited. Brian developed new workshops that addressed the cultural and societal factors influencing men's health, incorporating strategies to overcome barriers related to masculinity norms and communication styles. His work helped families and communities foster environments where vulnerability was accepted and encouraged. The chapter described the campaign's launch events, capturing the energy and enthusiasm of participants across different states. From small town halls to large urban centers, the message was clear: men's health matters, and it's time to talk about it openly. The Harpers witnessed firsthand the ripple effect of their efforts, receiving messages from people whose lives had been changed by the campaign, men who scheduled their first prostate screenings, families who started conversations they had long avoided, and healthcare providers inspired to improve their outreach. Despite the campaign's success, the family remained humble and focused, aware that changing deeply ingrained social attitudes takes time and persistence. They continued to face challenges, including skepticism and resistance from some communities, but each obstacle reinforced their resolve to keep pushing forward. Linda often reflected on how their personal story had become a catalyst for broader societal change, underscoring the power of vulnerability and authenticity. The chapter also delved into the personal growth each family member experienced as they navigated their public roles. Tom found renewed purpose in helping others, Linda embraced the role of educator and advocate with passion, Matt balanced innovation with empathy in his work, and Brian deepened his understanding of the complex emotional landscape surrounding men's health. Together, they embodied a holistic approach that blended medical science, technology, emotional support, and community engagement. Vivid descriptions of the campaign's milestones, from the first televised interviews to community workshops filled with heartfelt dialogue, painted a dynamic picture of progress and hope. The narrative emphasized that while the journey toward destigmatizing men's health was ongoing, every conversation sparked and every life touched brought them closer to a future where men could live healthier, fuller lives without fear or silence. As the chapter closed, the Harpers looked toward the future with optimism, ready to continue their mission and inspire others to join the movement. Their story was no longer just theirs, it was a shared legacy of courage, connection, and transformative change. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough?